I wasn't supposed to be there. That's the simplest way to explain it. I wasn't a diplomat or a soldier or anyone important enough to stand in the middle of a royal gathering on a world that wasn't even on most human maps. I was just a courier, a man with a ship, a contract, and a bad habit of saying yes to jobs that paid too well to question. My name is Cale Arden, and the day everything changed started like any other, quiet, routine, and completely unremarkable. The contract came through a relay station near the outer colonies. Encrypted. High priority. Ridiculously well paid. Deliver a sealed data core to Virellion Prime. The message read. No delays. No deviations. I should have asked questions. I didn't. I never do. 3 jumps later, I arrived. And immediately knew I had made a mistake. The moment my ship dropped out of hyperspace, I was surrounded. Not by pirates. Not by patrol drones. By a fleet. Sleek, luminous ships that seemed to glide rather than move, their surfaces reflecting starlight like liquid glass. Unidentified vessel. A voice echoed across my comms. You have entered sovereign territory. State your purpose. I raised my hands instinctively. Courier, I said. Delivery contract. I've got authorization codes. There was a pause. Then, transmit. I did. Another pause. Then, you will be escorted. Yeah, that didn't sound optional. Virellion Prime was overwhelming. Cities stretched across the surface like living structures, glowing with energy that pulsed in slow, rhythmic waves. Towers rose impossibly high, their shapes fluid and elegant, like they had grown instead of being built. And at the center of it all, a palace. That's where they took me. No explanations. No introductions. Just, wait here. The hall I was left in was massive, filled with beings I didn't recognize. Different species. Different forms. All gathered for something important. I stuck out. Badly. You're not supposed to be here, someone muttered as they passed. Story of my life. I replied under my breath. I kept my head down, tried not to draw attention. But that's hard to do when you're the only human in the room. The atmosphere shifted suddenly. The noise died down. Conversation stopped. Everyone turned. And then, she entered. I didn't know her name. Not yet. But I knew what she was. Power doesn't need an introduction. It was in the way the room reacted. The way every voice went silent. The way every eye lowered, except mine. She moved with calm precision, her presence commanding without effort. Her form was different, not human, not entirely, but close enough to be understood. And her eyes, they were sharp, focused, alive in a way that made everything else feel distant. She walked toward the center of the chamber, and then she stopped. Her gaze lifted and locked onto me. Of course it did. I glanced behind me. No one else. Great, I muttered. The room seemed to tighten around me. You, she said. Her voice carried effortlessly. I pointed at myself. Me? Yes. 100 eyes turned in my direction. I said, suddenly very aware of how out of place I was. Hi. That earned a few murmurs. She stepped closer. Step forward, she said. I hesitated. Then, did it anyway. Because when someone like that tells you to move, you move. I stopped a few paces away from her. Close enough to see the fine details of her features. Close enough to realize. She wasn't just powerful. She was dangerous. State your name, she said. Cale, I replied. Cale Arden. You are not of this world. No, I said. Just passing through. That wasn't entirely true anymore. She studied me. Long. Silent. Then, why are you here? I held up the data core. Delivery, I said. That's it. She didn't take it.
didn't even look at it.
Instead, she took another step closer. "You do not belong among them," she said. I blinked. "Yeah," I said. I got that feeling. A few quiet chuckles echoed from the edges of the chamber. She didn't react. Her eyes remained fixed on mine. "You are unaligned," she said. "Is that a problem?" "It is unusual." I shrugged. "Been called worse." Another murmur. I was starting to think I should stop talking. Too late now. She turned slowly, addressing the gathered crowd. "This one," she said. "Oh no." He stand apart. I shifted uncomfortably. "I really don't need that kind of attention," I muttered. But no one was listening to me. They were listening to her. Always her. She raised her hand slightly. The room went completely silent. And then she said the words that changed everything. "He is mine." For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The silence was absolute. I stared at her. "You what?" I said. She turned back to me.
Calm.
Unshaken. "You are mine," she repeated. I laughed. Nervously. "Okay," I said. "I feel like there's been a misunderstanding." There has not. The guards shifted. Not aggressively, but enough. Enough to make it clear. This wasn't a joke. "This is some kind of cultural thing, right?" I said quickly. "Like a translation error?" "Because where I come from." "You have been claimed," one of the advisors said. I looked at him. "Claimed for what?" "For partnership." I blinked. "No," I said. "No, that's not happening." "You do not refuse," he replied. "I absolutely refuse." The room stirred. This was not going well. She raised her hand again. Silence returned. "You do not understand," she said. Clearly, I replied. "In our world," she continued, "to claim is to choose. To choose is to bind." Yeah, well, I didn't choose anything. Her gaze didn't waver. I did. That shut me up. That's how it started. One moment, I was a courier. The next, I was something else entirely. Something I didn't ask for, didn't understand, didn't want. Or at least, that's what I told myself. The days that followed were a blur. I was moved to private quarters, watched constantly, not imprisoned, but not free either. "You are under her protection," one guard explained. "Feels a lot like being trapped," I replied. "It is not the same. Feels the same." She visited me that night. No guards. No ceremony. Just her. "You resist," she said. "Of course I do," I replied. "You just claimed me in front of an entire room of people." "It was necessary." "For what?" "For balance." I frowned. "That doesn't explain anything." She stepped closer. "There are forces within the system," she said, "that seek to divide it, to weaken it." "And I help how, exactly?" "You stand outside those divisions." I crossed my arms. "So you picked me because I'm irrelevant?"
"No," she said.
"Because you are not." I didn't understand it then. Not fully. But I started to see pieces. The way others reacted to me. The way the tension shifted. I wasn't just a stranger anymore. I was a symbol. A choice. And in her world, that meant everything. The truth came when the first attempt happened. An attack.
Fast. Precise.
A faction that opposed her rule. And by extension,
Me.
I barely had time to react before everything erupted into chaos. Guards clashed. Energy, weapons flared. And in the middle of it, I was a target. "You should not be here," one of them said as they advanced. "Yeah," I said, backing up. "I've been saying that." I didn't have a weapon, didn't have a plan. So I did the only thing I could. I stood my ground and waited. The attack never reached me because she arrived. And everything stopped. "Enough," she said. One word. And it was over. Later.
She found me again.
You were in danger, she said. No kidding. And yet you did not flee. Didn't have anywhere to go. She studied me.
Still, she said.
You remained. I shrugged. Guess I'm stubborn.
Yes, she said.
You are. Time passed. Things changed. Not all at once, but slowly. I stopped seeing her as just the one who claimed me, and started seeing her as someone else. Someone carrying more than I could imagine. And she started seeing me as more than just a tool. You are still a stranger, she said once. Yeah, I replied, but not as much as before. She nodded. Not as much. The next time she stood before the council, she didn't hesitate. He stands with me, she said. No resistance this time. No doubt. Because now, they understood what she had seen from the beginning. And me? I finally understood too. I hadn't been chosen by accident. I had been seen for what I could be, not what I was. I looked out over the world that had once been foreign, strange, and now felt like something else. Something I hadn't expected. Something I hadn't planned. But something real. I was just a stranger, I said quietly. She stepped beside me. Not anymore, she replied. And for the first time, I believed it. Because sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one choice, one voice, to change everything.